All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about so far. We talked about Monday Night Raw and Monday Night Raw review, where we, had a couple of speculations about who's going to be Sami Zayn's next competitor. Then we also contemplated if Chad Gable was, if he's ready to hold the championship, or if he even has a chance at Montreal against Sami Zayn next week, Monday Night Raw. We also talked about Damian Priest and who's his challenger going to be. You had the fatal four-way match where CM Punk ultimately cost Drew McIntyre the chance at the championship. So that should be, pretty excited to see. But we also talked about NXT Stand and Deliver, what you can expect out of the NXT, brand moving forward in terms of, who's going to dethrone Ilya Dragunov, what's in store for Trick Williams, and, where does this leave the Don, Tony D'Angelo, after this loss? Honestly, I still have some pretty, high hopes for the guy. So, anyway, so we're gonna move on. This is called "A Long May He Reign." I'm gonna give you guys this historical champions that have that have essentially been the reason why WWE is so great. So let's get on into it. Sorry, having technical difficulties. Oh, that's why. All right. So, all right, let's get started with AJ Styles. The phenomenal AJ Styles. He's number 10 on my list. He has a WWE title reign for 371 days, which is pretty darn impressive, despite the fact that, he came from TNA Wrestling. He held that company, together for the longest time. And honestly, if anybody deserves to be on this list, it's got to be, the phenomenal one. So, I'm glad to see AJ Styles. I don't want to see him leave, like I've, said before in a couple of podcasts, because his deal isn't done yet. And what they're doing with his character kind of seems like they're kind of heading toward that. But, I don't know. So we shall see. He lost to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan ruined his reign. Not ruined. He won. But AJ Styles won the championship at Clash of Champions in 2017. So JJ Styles on this list with 371 days. So yeah. But tied with the man, also with 371 days, is why did he do that? The Macho Man Randy Savage. Like I said, 371 days. So he won a tournament at WrestleMania 4 in 1988. Although he was a champion, he was still in with the Mega Powers with the Hulkster, Hulkamania, where they basically ran WWE, and it was kind of like that Rock and Roman Reigns feel. Like if The Rock ever came back full time, where he would challenge for championships, it'd be kind of like that same thing. You had two of these absolutely talented men who was totally over with the crowd. And I don't know, back in the 80s, it was fun to be a Macho Man Randy Savage fan, as well as Hulk Hogan. But ultimately, you have friends, and sometimes you gotta sometimes friends not stab at stab the back, but I don't know. Ultimately, the Hulkster was the reason why Macho Man Randy Savage title reign ended. So, Next, I had number 8. I have John Cena at 381 days. Pretty impressive. He won at Unforgiven 2006. Honestly, if I had to give any credit to John Cena, it's not all of his accolades. It's not him going to Hollywood and essentially kind of being The Rock. But it's the fact that night in and night out, he was on the show. He was busting his ass. He was, defending the championship on Raw and SmackDown routinely. So that's something that you got to admire about John Cena. He lost to Randy Orton at SummerSlam in 2007. So, with Orton, ending that streak of 381 days is pretty heroic. But like I said, John Cena deserves credit. He was kind of like my Roman Reigns, like where it seemed like he was always the champion. Although his reigns might have been short, the times where he won, obviously he's a 16-time world champion. So number 7, I got, the CM Punk the anti-hero of the WWE. He had a title reign that was 434 days. He won at WrestleMania Money in the Bank 2011. And the best thing about Punk is that he's just recognized for him. He's absolutely himself when he goes out there. He's recognized for his in-ring, abilities. He puts on a pretty darn good match, and I'm excited to see him in the ring once again, although he's a little older. But I'm excited to see that. It's gonna be pretty cool. Also, his edgy personality, his straight edge, his kind of like he's not afraid to say anything, which is kind of like he had the pipe bomb, and him having the pipe bomb, which actually makes tons and tons of sense. So if anybody did it, if anybody could do it, it was CM Punk. But he lost to The Rock at the Royal Rumble in 2013, leading The Rock to fight John Cena and beating John Cena for the championship, which Punk wasn't really a fan of that. Next, we have the reigning, defending, no, I'm just kidding. No, at let's see, we have 10, 9, 8, 7. CM Punk was number 7. Oh, shoot. Number 6, I have Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, like, you can't mention, you can't go to a person and talk about combat sports without talking about Brock Lesnar. Because Brock Lesnar, he did good things in UFC. He was the only WWE superstar who found success outside of the business, which is pretty good for Brock. He was a UFC world champion. Like he had the hammer fist. He was absolutely dominant for the longest time in the UFC. But his title reign was 504 days. He won it in SummerSlam of 2014. The best thing, Brock Lesnar is known for just being dominant in the ring. He's absolutely fierce. And he lost to one of the most iconic moments in WrestleMania history when Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 31. All right. So next I have number 5. I have Pedro Morales at 1,027 days. He defeated Ivan Koloff in 1971, and he defended against the likes of Bruno Sammartino, Killer Kowalski, and Stan Stasiak. And you think back into old school wrestling and kind of like, obviously this was way before my time, but you got to still respect, the guys, even though you never really watched them. But it was 1971 to 1973 where this man was just absolutely dominant. So, like, just think about it. If you want to put it in retrospect, you see, how Roman Reigns was during this title run. And Pedro Morales was kind of like the Roman Reigns at that time. Like, obviously, you didn't have the flashy screens. You didn't have the flashy, like, technology you see in WWE now. But, and just in wrestling, like, he was able to kind of hold an organization on his back. Next, we do have our tribal chief. We have a number 4. Coming in at number 4, we have Roman Reigns. Who's 1,316 days. He started in August 2020 at the Payback pay-per-view where he defeated Bray Wyatt. And he defended the belt in the likes of John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Edge, Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, etc. This guy really, Roman Reigns has beaten the best. He's beaten everybody on the roster. I don't think anybody on the main roster can kind of be like, oh, I never lost to Roman Reigns. Because you have. You have. Don't you lie. Don't you be a liar, man. Why are you always lying? I'm just kidding. No, but Roman Reigns is absolutely dominant in this modern WWE era, and he's gonna be remembered forever as one of the most dominant champions. I don't care what you say. I know he didn't break Hulk's record or San Martino's or Backlund or Bob Backlund, and but all in all, I think Roman Reigns is the GOAT. All right, moving on, we have Hulk Hogan. We have the Hulkamania. He comes in at a number 3 as 1,474 days as the WWE champ, which he won in January of 1984 against the Iron Sheik at Madison Square Garden. His title reign kind of ended in a controversial way where he lost to Andre the Giant, but thanks to a referee that Ted DiBiase hired, which was mostly like, kind of has that, oh, you got to screw him kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's the reason why that's the only way Hulk Hogan could lose his championship. And so he lost it to Andre the Giant in that controversial match. Hulk Hogan's known for being iconic, great. He's amazing with the fans. And he represented the 80s pretty well. When you think about 80s wrestling, or you go to like any 80s Halloween party, you're going to see some guy dressed up as Hulkamania. All right, number two, I got Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund, the 2,135 days total. He ruled from February 1978 to December of 1983. That was his first occasion, and on the second occasion, he ruled from November 1994 to 1995. Wow, 2,135 days as a champion, which is pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. Like I know a lot of these people right now, a lot of wrestling fans right now, they kind of never really saw how the WWE Championship was just prestigious. And the moment that someone like Roman Reigns kind of went on a tear, where he was 1,316 days, and people were like, "Oh man, I'm bored. I don't want to see this." But back in the day, this was normal. It was kind of like boxing, where the champion would defend all the time, and he would just rack up days and days and days, and it would just make for an unbelievable WrestleMania or like a pay-per-view, main event. Number one, I have Bruno Sammartino, 2,803 days. This guy held the title for a total of 4,040 days. He was 11 years a reign. Imagine watching wrestling for 11 years. Where was I 11 years ago? Wow. I just turned 20. And John Cena was, starting to get his push. Triple H was, kind of the shit, or kind of the stuff, sorry, excuse my language. And then you kind of had Dave Batista out there, Rey Mysterio. And yeah, but anyways, this guy did it for 11 years. That's absolutely nuts. That's absolutely bananas. Held the title for his title reign for 2,803 was from May 1963 to January 1971. And then his 1,237 days, December 1973 to April 1977. So some pretty good, exciting stuff for Bruno Sammartino. Long may he reign. Very, very good. So, yeah, that was one of the. Why did that pop up? That was one of the segments that I really was excited to talk about, because a lot of people don't know these historic title runs. All right, well, don't go anywhere. Next is my wrestling news roundup. We're going to talk about news that's happening all over professional wrestling, sports entertainment. So yeah, don't go anywhere.